Oh, 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 whew. Sorry about that. Seems I settled down a little too early for my long winter's nap. Let me see. Oh, it's 7 o'clock. Just in time for New Deal Creative Arts Center's Stories at 7. I'm your reader for tonight, Kevin McCarthy, and tonight we're going to read about Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. But before I do, I think we need a little extra Christmas spirit. Alexa, turn on Christmas Tree. That's better. All right, so tonight's story is Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, written by Chelsea Resnick and illustrated by Ed Meyer. Of course, this story comes from the Rankin Bass Christmas special that we watch every year about my pal, Rudolph. So let's jump right into the story, shall we? Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. Way up at the North Pole, there is a magical place called Christmas Town. That's where Santa lives with Mrs. Claus and all his elves and reindeer. It was also where Rudolph, the most famous reindeer of all, lived. Like all reindeer at the North Pole, Rudolph's greatest dream was to pull Santa's sleigh. But he wasn't like any of the other reindeer in Christmas Town because Rudolph had a bright, shiny red nose. When he was little, Rudolph wore a pretend nose so he would look like all the other reindeer. He impressed everyone at the reindeer games, too. He was a natural at flying. But one day, Rudolph's pretend nose popped off. The other reindeer all laughed and called him names. Who ever heard of a reindeer with a red nose? It seemed that Rudolph just didn't fit in. There's Rudolph. He's sad without his pretend nose. Everyone's making fun of him. That's not cool. Since everyone learned the truth, Rudolph would never be allowed to pull Santa's sleigh. So he decided to set off on his own. Luckily, Rudolph soon met a couple of friends who were different, just like he was. Hermie the elf didn't like making toys. He wanted to be a dentist. Yukon Cornelius wasn't afraid of anything. He crossed mountains in wind and snow, searching for silver and gold. Rudolph was thankful he found friends like these. There's my buddy Yukon Cornelius and Hermie the elf. In the North Pole wilderness, Rudolph and his friends met many dangers. Most scary of all was a snow monster, the Great Bumble of the North. Unfortunately, Rudolph's shiny nose was easy for the Bumble to spot. One day, as the friends tried to avoid becoming Bumble snacks, they hopped onto an iceberg. Soon they were drifting. When they landed, they were on the island of Misfit Toys, a mysterious place where the world's most unusual and unwanted toys came to live. Rudolph and his friends felt at home. Rudolph realized that he didn't mind being different. You can see Rudolph with all of his friends on the island of Misfit Toys trying to escape the wrath and terror of the Bumble. Ah! Let's continue. Rudolph knew he couldn't stay on the island forever, and he couldn't let his bright nose keep putting Hermie and Yukon Cornelius in danger. The Bumble would catch them all sooner or later. So Rudolph decided to strike off on his own. Time passed and Rudolph grew and grew and grew. Now more grown up, Rudolph began to see that he couldn't keep running from his troubles. It was time to go home. He had to see his parents and, of course, the magical man himself, Santa Claus. This guy. When Rudolph arrived home, he learned that his parents and his friend Clarice had gone looking for him and still hadn't returned. What if they were in danger? I'll find them all, Rudolph vowed. The first place he looked was the Bumble's enormous cave, and oh no! Sure enough, there were his mom, dad, and Clarice. This was a huge disaster! Oh no! And the Bumble's got Clarice in his clutches! That scary Bumble is gonna get her! What's Rudolph gonna do? Let's find out. It was lucky that Hermie and Yukon Cornelius happened to pass the Bumble's cave. Leaping into action, Hermie lured the Bumble outside the cave by oinking like a pig. As everyone knows, pigs are a Bumble's most favorite treat. Then, crash! Boom! Yukon Cornelius pushed a boulder onto the beast's giant head. With the Bumble out cold, Hermie removed every one of its razor-sharp teeth. Rudolph sighed with relief. He was thankful he found friends like these. Look at that! That is one humble Bumble! With his loved ones safe, Rudolph returned to Santa's workshop. Everyone was glad to see him. But there wasn't time to make things right yet. A grand snowstorm, the worst Santa had ever seen, was barreling toward the North Pole. If the weather didn't let up soon, Santa's reindeer wouldn't be able to see. If they couldn't see, then they couldn't fly. And if they couldn't fly, then Santa couldn't deliver any toys. Christmas would have to be canceled. This was a huge disaster! Santa didn't want to let down all the little boys and girls of the world, but what could he do? As he stepped into the hall to announce that Christmas would be canceled, Rudolph's bright red nose lit up. Suddenly, Santa had an idea. Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Rudolph was utterly dumbfounded. But look at how shiny that nose is. That could shine bright through the scariest snowstorm you ever saw. Santa wanted Rudolph to lead the sleigh. It would be an honor, sir, said Rudolph. He suited up with the other reindeer. Then he took Santa to the island of misfit toys, where they picked up all the world's forgotten toys to deliver them to girls and boys who would love them. After that, they were all off and away! And what became of Rudolph? He went down in history. Ba-dum. All right, thank you for joining me tonight for a special holiday edition of New Deal Creative Arts Center's Stories at 7. There will be a new one every night at 7 o'clock right here from now through Christmas Eve. Thank you all so much for listening. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy this holiday season. Have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year to each and every one of you. Good night.